Do you have any favorite stories about, I don't know how many flights you've had, but is there any stories that like a story that stands out of when you helped a family?
Yeah, there's some incredible stories that stick with you, and we do international flights when we have the resources available. And I'll just tell this one story, but there's hundreds we can go into. So I got connected to this woman. She's originally from the Philippines. She lives here in Calgary. She has stage 4 cancer. They had stopped treatment, and she said, "I need to get back to my parents in the Philippines to tell them about the situation, that I'm terminal. I want to have one last visit." The social worker called me and said, "Kev, this woman, she's selling her furniture, trying to get a flight, right? Trying to get enough money together. Can you help her with a flight?" And so we were able to get donors, and we got the flight. And I took it to her physically because she had sold her computer, and just for money for the flight. And I met with her, and she gave this incredible hug and just held on to me. And she said, "You don't know how important it is for me to go back and see my parents one more time." And she goes, "I'm going to fly to Manila, but my parents aren't actually in Manila. They're up in the mountains, right? So I got to take a train and go see them." And she goes, "I don't know if I'm strong enough, if I'll ever make it back to Canada, but I need to go see them." And so we gave her the plane ticket. She made it to see her family. She made it back to Canada. Unfortunately, she passed away a few weeks later, and the social worker reached out and said, "Kev, do you want to come to the funeral?" And I don't normally do that, right? I've only done that a few times. But it was just a moving moment I had with her. I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll come to the funeral." So she gave me the date and location. I went to the funeral, and I went a little early. I'm sat in the pews, right? And I'm waiting there, and she was Filipino, and everybody at the funeral was Filipino. So this gentleman kindly came up to me and he said, "Are you at the right funeral?" Right? I explained who I was. I said, "Oh, I gave the flight. I represent Give a Mile." And his eyes just lit up, and he goes, "You have to meet the family." So he pulled me up front, and I met the family, and we all cried together, and they just gave me these huge hugs, and they told me what it meant to them, and just wow, man, that was so powerful. And so then I went back and sat in my seat, and they had brought other family members in via Skype for the funeral from the Philippines, from Manila, and the location up in the mountains. They didn't know I was in the funeral home, right? But the family there said, "It meant so much to have her back here with us and to have another visit, and how we were able to talk with her and have closure." And they didn't know I was there. And then one of the family members said, "The person that gave the flight is here," right? So everyone turned around and just gave me a bunch of love. And I knew there's been a few moments like that where I knew yes, this is exactly what we need to be doing. We need to be doing more of this. This is the calling. Make this happen. Make more of this happen. And so those powerful moments where I think the universe kind of winks at you a little bit, right? It's never, people always like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things? Like, does the sky open up and a beam of light hit you? No, but to me, those kind of synchronicities in the universe, right? The fact that I met Ryan, the fact that, I kept hearing about him and bumping into him, the fact that I was in that funeral and the family mentioned that, to me, those were signs that we need to do this and we need to do more of this,
Yeah, it's brilliant. This is probably another weird question, but do those families, have you had multiple families come back and need the same service?
We try to service as many families as we can. So we usually say, if you've already applied for a flight, right, we're not going to kind of approve another flight that you're coming for. Now, saying that, what we've seen, and we try to do our best to look at a family situation, is we'll have like a brother apply to come see a father, and then all of a sudden, the sister will hear about the program and they'll apply as well. So, we try to do as much of that as we can. And obviously there's situations like two grandparents, right? Or, two parents. And so we don't have a rule where we say, we'll only give you one flight or we'll only give you two flights. But we do try to respond to the one family situation, and then obviously help as many families beyond that as well. Look at, what the family needs flight-wise,
Right. And how many flights? Because you said you have a lot of demand right now.
Yeah.
And is there a percentage that you're actually able to accommodate? Like, you have to, I know you said when someone asks you, tell them you just can't do it, but I feel like that's probably a very difficult part of the job, is tell people you can't do it, obviously for reasons out of your control in many ways. So is there a percentage that people are applying to manage expectations at this point of where you guys are at?
Yeah, it kind of goes ups and downs based on how much donations are coming in and obviously the demand. We always do, every year we try to do 50 flights at Christmas or more.
Wow.
We do flights all year round, but Christmas is always a big fundraising time and a big focus on getting flights out. And so right now there's been days where we get 12, 15 applicants a day. And we probably are able to fulfill 25 to 40% of that. Now that's all based on how far they're traveling, how many family members, that type of thing. We obviously want to fulfill 100% of that. So we need donors' help. Obviously, we talked about foundations maybe getting behind us. Very impactful. But please do not hesitate to apply because you never know. We have donations coming constantly. And let's get in a conversation about it and see if we can help you for sure. The application process is very straightforward. It doesn't take a lot of time. We try to keep it as easy as possible. So I do not want families to hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, this is beautiful. It's I've done 80 some odd episodes on Dead Talks, and it's honestly not even. It's wild to me that this hasn't come up even conversationally. The fact that some families can't even see the person. I don't know. It's always like a weird assumption. It's a silly assumption that they're always local when that's just not the case. I just haven't. I haven't heard of this. This is such an amazing program. So I commend you for doing something like this. And I hope a couple listeners in here are willing to donate whatever miles that you have, if you have any, or get the word out. Because I'm sure there's going to be someone listening that's experienced this themselves and kind of wish they either knew of your program or maybe it wasn't around then. So, this is some real shit.
Yeah, and it's pretty badass. One of the most frustrating things about the program, I always tell people, is I will talk to people and they said, if I only knew it about 6 months ago, if I had heard about this 4 months ago, we would have been able to fly to see dad or our brother. So absolutely, if you're not able to donate miles or if you can't donate money, by all means, just share the story. Let's get the story out there because we need more people to hear about it, get connected. As we said, as far as I know, we're the only charity in this space that is doing this.
Yeah, this is amazing. Well, listen, I don't know if I want to kind of give you, I know I hope you feel comfortable with everything you said, but I would love to give you, give you a little bit more of the floor right now in case there's anything that you want to add or mention that you haven't mentioned already or share before we, plug Give a Mile, the contact information.
Yeah, before we do apply, I'll tell you the ending of the Ryan story about synchronicity in the universe because it's, to me, one of the incredible stories. So when Ryan passed away, a lot of friends and family were coming to me and saying, oh, Ryan visited me in my dream and I saw Ryan. Has he visited you? And I was like, no, haven't seen him. And so a few months later, Ryan hadn't come visit me in my dream, showing up, and I was getting a little mad at him. I'm like, dude, we were like brothers and I helped you and all this kind of stuff. So I traveled with work and I was on the road and I was in a hotel and came back from my job that day and was just exhausted and kind of ate my dinner and fell asleep super early, right? 7:30 at night or whatever. And had this most incredible dream. And I won't go into the whole dream story, but I ended up in this room with this big long table and there was this gentleman at the very end of it with this big beard, right? You could just tell he was a very mystical kind of guru type guy. And he sat there and I said, just kind of started talking to him. He said, do you want to see him? And I was like, yeah, I want to see him. And the door opened and everything went bright white. The guy was all of a sudden in pure white clothes, big white beard, and Ryan came in and we had this most incredible conversation. I just did I take care of you? Did we do the right thing? Is everything okay? And, we just had this massive connection. He assured me everything was okay. And then Ryan was known for these big hugs. He was a guy that kind of bear hugged you, right? And just gave you a real hug. And so as I was coming out of that dream, I was in a moment in my bed where I couldn't even move. I just felt like I had this massive hug around me, right? It was this incredible hug. And then woke up and I wrote the dream down, just wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. It was so powerful. And then fell back to sleep, right? And then I got up in the morning and I was getting ready for work and I was reflecting on the dream and I started thinking to myself, well, you just had dinner and maybe you were kind of hallucinating. Maybe that was sleep paralysis, and don't get too woo-woo on it type of thing. And I'm putting my suit on and I reach into the pocket of my suit and there's a beer cap. It's a Sleeman's beer. And that's what Ryan drank all the time, was a Sleeman's beer. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, never doubt, my friend. I will never doubt again. So I feel his presence is with me. And obviously whatever you believe and your your thoughts on that. I'm not here to change your thoughts on that, but I just say I took massive comfort in the fact of how that showed up to me, how that circle with my friend has been completed, how we still do work in his name. It's been incredibly powerful work, and we want to connect to lots more families. Keep this going.